Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome back to my channel, My Loverlies. If you've never been here before, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I am so happy you found me. I do so hope that you will like and subscribe before you leave. Become part of the Mama family. Mama's got your back, at least where makeup's concerned, and definitely when that makeup is cheap. Today is all about palettes I purchased but never used. There's got to be, I cannot be the only one who found a palette that I need this, I have to have this in my life, got it in the mail, and never touched it. Y'all, it's awful. Before we get started, a very special, very warm welcome to any of those that are new to my channel. I am so incredibly happy that you are here. If you enjoy the content, I do so hope that you will mash that thumbs up button. I hope that you will subscribe if you have not already. And I hope that you will ring my bell, turn on your notifications, so that way, next time I upload a video, you can come right back here and we can hang out together again. Also, my makeup is already done. I love today's look, just the whole overall. It's very soft. It's very kind of like of the season. Very easy, very wearable, but still fun. I used the new Juvia's Place Afro Galactic palette. When this thing first released, I was not the biggest fan of it. I find that the special shades in here, the multi-chromes, are a little bit finicky. You have to have almost the perfect brush to really get them to transfer from the pan to the eye. But once you find that perfect brush, they really do just look so beautiful on the lid. The more I use this palette, the more I fall in love with it. Like I said, I did film a TikTok on today's eye look. I will make sure to have the tags for that, as well as all of my other socials, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff in the description box below. Guys, if you are not following me on all my other socials, you definitely should go do that. I post fun content every single day. And if you're following me everywhere, you don't have to worry about missing a single moment of it. All right, with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive in to the unused, neglected palettes. First up, we have this teeny tiny, very expensive little palette. This is the Viseart Petit Pro Deux. So this was, I picked this up because I heard everybody and their mama talking about Viseart. It was one of those formulas that I felt like everybody really just loved. They had nothing but good things to say about it. And, you know, I was like, okay, let's try it. I found this on sale. I picked this up for, I think, around $8. And y'all, it's literally the size of my palm. It is a teeny tiny little palette. Now at full retail price or full retail value for this palette is $30. I could never. And especially when I first got it into my hands and I realized how teeny tiny it actually is, I was like, I just don't get it. I don't get the hype of these eyeshadow palettes at all. So the packaging is kind of cute. I was expecting something a little bit more extravagant, especially for it being such an expensive teeny tiny little palette. I was really hoping that the packaging was going to be just a little bit more. Now you get this little ribbon opening and it opens up and this is your teeny tiny little palette. You do get a teeny tiny little mirror in there as well, but this is the color story. So you get 8 different tones in here. The eyeshadow pans are very, very small. They are pretty. It just doesn't inspire me. I think the eyeshadow colors are very pretty. I think it's a pretty good, I think it's a pretty good formula. The quality looks really, really nice. The shimmers they're nice. They're nicely reflective, but you can also tell they're going to go on and they're going to be very smoothing and very beautifying on the eyes. The mattes as well look really beautiful, nicely pigmented. Super easy to work with. I'm not sure what it is about this palette that I just can't sink my teeth into. I have tried to use this on multiple occasions and every single time I open it up to use it, it just weren't for me. It just doesn't do it for me. It doesn't inspire me, so I just haven't touched it. Yeah, it's really upset about this one. Next up, we have this one from Huda Beauty. This is the Huda Beauty Purple Haze eyeshadow palette. This is another $30 eyeshadow palette. It's actually $29. I picked this up on sale last year when Huda Beauty had her big Christmas sale. Well, not last year, I guess, technically now. It was 2 years ago. So I've had this in my collection for a good long while at this moment. But y'all, there's just something about this palette that I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. I think the colors in here are really beautiful. You do get a couple of really gorgeous duochromes. This one is a duochrome along with this one. This one is a really pretty purple to gold kind of duochrome that's super pretty. Yeah, I love the formulations in these palettes. I think the mattes are nice. I think they build really beautifully. They're easy to work with. I think the shimmers are super gorgeous, nice and glittery and reflective. They look beautiful on the eye as well. Yeah, so again, it is not a quality issue with this palette at all. I have quite a few of these little 9 pans from Huda Beauty, and I enjoy most of them immensely. It's just this one, I just can't sink my teeth into. I don't know, it just doesn't inspire me. I've tried to use it a couple of times, and I'll use a shade here or there, but I still haven't really dug my teeth into this palette, haven't sunk my brushes into it, and done a full look with it, so hopefully I will get to do that sometime in the very near future. This is the Dominique Cosmetics Unconditional Eyeshadow Palette. This is a 6-pan eyeshadow palette. It is stunning. So, so beautiful. I think there's nothing about this palette that I have anything bad to say about. First of all, the packaging is absolutely stunning. It is super heavy. It feels luxe. It feels special. This is a $28 eyeshadow palette. I do think it is quite expensive, but if you take into consideration the quality of the packaging, all of that good stuff, I feel like it's a pretty fair price point. Dominique Cosmetics is owned by Kristen Dominique. She is a fellow YouTuber here on the platform. She's fantastic. She's adorable. Her whole aesthetic is very like no makeup, clean girl, kind of like soft glam beauty. That's what she does best. I find that most of the products I have tried from her have been fantastic. So I really do enjoy her brand from start to finish. I don't know what it is about this eyeshadow palette that I just can't get into. I love the fact that there's a pressed glitter in here. This pressed glitter is absolutely stunning. Super metallic and reflective. Absolutely gorgeous. It looks so pretty. And it sticks really well to the skin as well. So you have 3 mattes, 2 very soft shimmers, and then a pressed glitter. There's a nice amount of depth in this palette. The shimmers in here are really, really gorgeous. Super glowy and reflective. Yeah, super, super pretty. You have a nice, deep, kind of like berry toned matte in here. Beautifully pigmented as well. I love, this is like a go-to color story for me as well. I don't know why I don't reach for this. I look at this color story and I'm like, yes, this is a perfect everyday go-to kind of, pretty much exactly what I've got on my eyes today, honestly. This is a go-to color story for me. I just don't know why I haven't used it. I love that I came up with this video idea. It made me go through my collection and pick out palettes I haven't touched and palettes I haven't given any attention to. So now I have a whole stack of palettes that I need to spend some time with. So that's going to kind of force my hand. I just love it. Such a great, great way. If you have a fairly large eyeshadow collection, and you find that there are palettes in your collection that get rather neglected, make a stack of like 10 of your very favorite, I need to get to it kind of palettes, and then just use one. Use a different palette every single day. And oftentimes you will find out why you just don't gravitate it. Either you like the color story, but it doesn't work in application, or maybe you don't think you really like the color story, but actually when you dive into it, you find out the color story is kind of fantastic. I know, especially with Juvia's Place. I find that 9 times out of 10, I don't really get their color stories. They don't really do it for me. I don't find that they spark my creativity. I find that they don't really make my mouth water and my brushes twitch, things like that. But the minute that I really dive into them and experience the color story, it's a completely and totally different story. So yeah, if you have a bigger eyeshadow collection, and you use the same palettes over and over and over again, make a stack of like 5 to 10 of your least used palettes, and then just make yourself work with them. And that way, if you find that you use it and you really don't like it, you can get it out of there, because there's no use in it being in your collection if you're not going to use it. Next up is the Tresluce Dazzling Suenos eyeshadow palette. This is another 6-pan palette. I find that I usually reach for my bigger palettes just in general. So a lot of my smaller palettes, they just, by their very nature, don't get as much attention from me as they should. However, when it comes to this palette in particular, I haven't even swatched it. So first of all, Tresluce Beauty, absolutely fantastic. I love their quality. Their eyeshadows are phenomenal. Really, really beautiful. I love her color stories as well. I find them to be very, very wearable, but still fun. Like if you are a neutral girl, but you want to play with a pop of color, I find that Tresluce does pops of color really, really well. So this palette I picked up off of BoxyCharm Ipsy now. It came in a little duo, and I got a couple of the Tresluce brushes as well. Now, I rather enjoyed the Tresluce brushes. While they don't feel super luxe or like high quality, I find that they work beautifully. This one is the B100. This one is a big fat fluffy blender, and I love this thing. Works so beautifully through the crease. It really applies product and blends it out absolutely seamlessly, so I very much enjoy the brushes. However, when it comes to the eyeshadow palette, I haven't even touched it. And again, I think the color story is stunning. It's these really soft purples and neutral tones. This shade, this like very kind of champagne-y shimmer, looks absolutely stunning, but I just haven't touched it. And because it is a smaller palette, I know I'm probably not going to touch it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up just putting the plastic back in here, and I'm going to put this in a giveaway. That leads me into the next thing that I want to say, which is I do have another giveaway coming up very, very shortly. I am going to be doing a very small declutter. It's probably going to end up being a lot bigger than I think it is. But I'm going to end up doing a declutter very, very shortly, and because of that, I will be doing another giveaway. Now, the giveaway will be a mix of gently used and brand new makeup, just like this. 9 times out of 10, the palettes that I put in the giveaways have just been swatched. However, I do make sure to sanitize everything thoroughly before I pack it. I spray it all down with alcohol, wipe everything down, all of that good stuff. So if you are interested, definitely make sure you tune in. I'm not sure when I'm going to announce the giveaway, but it will be fairly shortly, and it will be a rather big one. So stay on the lookout for that one. But yes, one is a really beautiful eyeshadow palette. Just, I don't know. I'm not going to touch it, so I'm going to give it away. I think pretty much the same thing goes for this eyeshadow palette. This is the Violet Voss Windflower palette. Super cute. I really enjoy Violet Voss just as a whole. I think their eyeshadow quality is fantastic. It is really, really beautiful. I love their color stories. They're very, very wearable. They're very approachable, super easy to use and apply. I think they're kind of perfect for the everyday kind of makeup user. They're also rather expensive, especially for what they are. Again, this is the Windflower eyeshadow palette. Super pretty. Does it still have the plastic in there? No. Y'all, I have not touched this one. I think I might have swatched 1 or 2 of the shades, but for the most part, this is a brand new eyeshadow palette. I've never touched it. And again, it just doesn't inspire me. I think the colors in here are beautiful. I think that it would be really easy to do a very gorgeous, everyday, easy breezy kind of eyeshadow look. It's just, they're great, great quality. Just something about this color story just doesn't really do it for me. I love the kind of corals and soft purples in here. It's a really gorgeous palette. The shimmers in these palettes are stunning. Violet Voss has some of the prettiest shimmers. They're super metallic, but not like, they don't enhance texture. They're still beautifying while still being very, very reflective. They're so nice. They apply beautifully with a brush. You don't need a glitter glue. You don't need to wet your brush down. They just go on. They're easy to use. They're fabulous. I don't know why I haven't touched this eyeshadow palette. This one isn't super expensive. This palette goes for around $13. It is a rather small eyeshadow palette. Like the size of the pans are rather small, but I kind of like that. I like knowing that I might be able to actually use the whole thing without having to throw it away after it expires. But this is so pretty. I just don't know why I haven't touched it. And because I haven't touched this one, I'm thinking I might put it in the giveaway as well. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Would you like to get this one in a giveaway? I'd love to know. But yeah, super pretty palette. Just doesn't do it for me. This one is the Huda Beauty. This is the Principessa eyeshadow palette, the Midnight Shadows eyeshadow palettes. I picked this up off of BoxyCharm. I think I paid like $6 for it. Wasn't expensive at all. And really, I just wanted to see the packaging. I wanted to experience this. I know people were absolutely raving about these eyeshadow palettes when they first came out, and I basically just wanted to see what all of the hype was about. This is a $24 eyeshadow palette. The packaging is definitely not what I expected. I expected this to be a very cheap feeling looking plastic kind of thing. However, this feels so solid. It's heavy, it's weighted. It feels a lot more luxurious and a lot more expensive than you think that it would from the pictures online. You open it up, this is your eyeshadow palette. You get 6 pans of different tones in here, and then you do get a full-size mirror. Now, I like the color story of this, but I have this 1,000,001 times over in my collection. I will never use this eyeshadow palette. I got this because I wanted to do a review on it. Again, I just wanted to test out the brand, and it's so basic. It's so basic, and while of course one person's trash is another person's treasure, I look at this and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it's cute. Somebody else would probably look at this and think, yes, that is what I want in my life. I need that in my collection. I wear those colors every single day, right? So I'm sure that there definitely is a market for this color story out there. However, like I said, I just have these tones in my collection 1,000 times over, and I feel like I'm just going to put this one in a giveaway and give it to one of you guys, because there's no reason in me digging my brushes into there if I know I'm really just probably going to use it once and then never think about it again. So again, 24 bucks, not a bad price point for this eyeshadow palette. Would I ever pay full price for this? No, not really. I just think it's way too basic. It doesn't inspire me. And for 6 eyeshadow pans, and honestly, I did swatch this eyeshadow palette, and I think these shimmers in here are really, really pretty. But other than that, I don't find anything about this eyeshadow palette to be remarkable in any way. Like, the shimmers look really nice. They have a good amount of like reflectivity to them. Like, they have a good shine to them. They're nice and pigmented. The mattes feel okay. Yeah, the mattes feel okay. They're nothing super special, but again, they're nice, super easy to work with, very buildable. I don't know, there's just something about it that just really doesn't do it for me. So I think we're just going to go ahead and put that into a giveaway. But yeah, not a bad eyeshadow palette, just not for me. This one right here, I genuinely believe I bought just because of the packaging. I thought the packaging on this was so freaking pretty. I actually display this palette quite a lot just because I love the gold leaf packaging on it. This is the Revolution Gold Crush eyeshadow palette. It is absolutely stunning. I love this packaging. It's got this gold foiled or like gold leaf packaging on it. Absolutely beautiful. I love the way that it shines in the light. Oh, so nice. It is standard cardboard packaging, but it doesn't feel cheap in any way. It's really, really nice. I enjoy this very, very much. Open it up, you get a nice full-size mirror, and then this is your color story. Now, this is a jewel-toned, like gem kind of eyeshadow palette. The actual shapes of the pans are 3D, so they're kind of like gems. Each shade is like a gem in and of itself. Super, super pretty. Lots of shimmers in here. So there are only just a few mattes, and even the mattes in here have a satiny kind of quality to them. So nothing is like super flat matte in this palette at all. And I have had this palette in my collection for, I want to say, 3 years at this point, and I've never done a look with it. I have swatched it 1,000,001 different times. I open it up and I just think the tones in here are so beautiful. And this is from XX Revolution, which XX Revolution, I really enjoy their quality. I think while they're a little bit more expensive than some of the other Revolution brands, I think the quality is pretty spot on most of the time. They're so pretty. The gem tones in here, like the metallic tones in here, are absolutely stunning. I adore a good gold eyeshadow moment, and you've got just about every color of gold and bronze in here that you might ever need. They're so beautiful. You don't have to use a glitter glue. You don't have to wet your brush down. I have nothing bad to say about this palette other than the fact that it just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know why every time I look at it, I just decide to use something else, because I really do enjoy this palette. I just don't know what it is about it. Guys, this isn't a super expensive palette. It's about $23. I found it on Amazon for $23.50. which I don't think is a bad price point for this palette. You guys know, again, I didn't pay that for this palette. I got it while it was on sale. I think I paid like $8 or $9 for it. At that price point, I think this is fantastic. Even at the $23, it's not bad at all if you like take into consideration the packaging and all of that good stuff. I just don't know why. I don't know why I haven't used it. Like, the matte shades are so silky smooth and super soft. They're beautifully pigmented. Like, super, super gorgeous. I don't know why. That one, that's like the deepest shade in the palette. Super pigmented. Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep this one because I can't get rid of it. I've had it for so long at this point. It's just become an integral part of my collection. But I am going to make myself use it. I'm going to make myself sit down and do an eyeshadow look with it. I find that when it comes to color stories like this, I buy them because I think they're beautiful, right? I buy them because I think, oh, that is going to be super easy to do a quick, super, like, out the door kind of eyeshadow look. It's going to be perfect. I'm going to use this all the time. And then I end up and I sit down and I do my makeup, and every single time I tell myself I'm going to do a neutral, easy kind of eyeshadow look, I end up going all out and doing like multi-chromes and graphic liner. It's insane. Because I can't control myself when it comes to color. But I do really, really, especially now that I'm getting older, I'm almost 40 at this point, I really do want to start wearing more of the neutral tones. Just, you know, like, makeup that's a little bit more beautifying, you know what I mean? So I definitely want to get into color stories like this a lot more. So yeah, I'm gonna make myself use this one, but I love this palette so much, even though I've never used it. Keeping with the theme, we have yet another neutral-ish kind of eyeshadow palette. This is the Glamlite x Mikayla Part 2 10-pan eyeshadow palette. So they had this one, and then they had a big, I want to say like 20 something, a bigger pan. I'll pop up a picture of it, but I bought the bigger palette and I bought the little one because there was a set and it was on sale, so I was like, oh yeah, let's do it. I got this. I love the packaging. This is very much reminiscent of the Anastasia Beverly Hills, the modern romance, that kind of like velvety soft packaging. I think the packaging on this is absolute fire. It is so gorgeous. I love this like deep, rich emerald green with the gold lettering. It is so aesthetically pleasing. And then you open it up, and here are the color story is absolutely like freaking gorgeous. You get a nice full-size mirror, and then your color story is just like you get a full row of shimmers and a full row of mattes. Every single shade in here is absolutely stunning. I don't know why I haven't used it. The only thing I can think of is because I bought the bigger palette as well, and these colors are reflected in the bigger palette. I just end up reaching for the bigger one instead because I have more options. But this is so beautiful. The shimmers in here are really what do it for me. They're so, look at that mint. I mean, I can't get over it. And then you have nice deeper shades in here as well, and everything is so richly pigmented and gorgeous. You also have a duochrome in here as well. This one is kind of like a green purple, kind of like, oh, they're so pretty. Yeah, absolutely stunning. It's like this really gorgeous kind of like greeny with like a mauve base to it. Absolutely stunning. Very unique kind of color. And then you have this gorgeous kind of like what is that, like an olive gold kind of tone. Super pretty. The quality of these is spectacular. You guys already know how I feel about the Glamlite mattes. Glamlite was probably definitely top 3 favorite brands last year, and they're probably one of the brands that I purchased from the most last year as well. I love this palette. Again, I don't know why I don't reach for it. I do know. It's because I would rather reach for the bigger one. But again, I need to get some use out of this because it's so pretty. The colors in here are so gorgeous, and it is an absolute waste that it is just kind of like languishing in my collection, not getting any attention from me. Now, this wasn't super expensive at all. This is an $18 eyeshadow palette, which I think for packaging and quality of the shadows inside, this is a fantastic value. If you haven't tried the Glamlite formula and you've been looking to kind of like get into it, I think it is a fantastic brand. I also want to start doing a thing where once a month I try a new brand, because I find that I am very much a loyalist when it comes to eyeshadow brands or just makeup brands in general. I'll find a brand that I like and I'll just repurchase from that same brand over and over again. And I really want to start kind of branching out, especially into independently owned brands, like smaller kind of indie brands. I really want to branch out this year. So I'm going to try and try a new brand once every single month. We'll see how that goes. But if you have never played with Glamlite and you've been interested, this is your sign to go check them out. They really are as fantastic as everybody says that they are. And then we have this one right here. So this is the Dido Venus eyeshadow palette. This one I received in a BoxyCharm, I want to say years ago at this point. I've never touched it. This eyeshadow palette very much reminds me of the BH Cosmetics Zodiac's palettes, things like that. Same kind of premise. So packaging, really, really cute. It's nice, sturdy, heavy cardboard packaging. This is a $30 eyeshadow palette, so it's pretty expensive. Not mad about the packaging at all. It feels really nice. It feels a little bit luxurious and a little bit expensive. Get a full-size mirror in here, and then these are your eyeshadow colors. And I don't know. I don't know what it is about this palette that just doesn't do it for me. It's kind of that same thing as the Huda Beauty palette. It's those same kind of tones. They're very, very basic. However, these ones are a little bit more interesting because some of them are swirled. These are all baked eyeshadows as well. The quality on these is freaking spectacular. They're absolutely stunning. The metallics in here are so rich. They're almost like jewel toned. This like red is like absolutely stunning. Yeah, they're gorgeous. I don't know why I don't reach for it. This is one of those palettes that I think is so interesting. This one is a duochrome. It switches from like a really soft gold with a pink flip to it. I just love the textures in this one. This one right here is like super, I don't know, this one is almost like bubbled or like dotted in there. Feels really fantastic, looks really, really pretty. Swatches phenomenally. I don't know. There's just something about the color story in here, though, that just doesn't do it for me. Also, on top of that, there's only like 2 mattes in this palette, and then everything else is a metallic. And I definitely tend to gravitate more towards matte eyeshadows just because I feel like I like to build with a matte and then accentuate with a shimmer, and I just feel like there's not enough mattes in here to give me a full kind of base for my eyeshadow look. However, it's a really, really pretty palette, and I don't have anything else in my collection that looks quite like this. I like the whole planetary theme, things like that, and it's really, really great quality. Just not something that I reach for. Again, I have swatched this 1,000,001 different times because every time I come across it in my collection, I'm like, ugh, why don't I use that? And then I swatch it and then I remember, really, really nice quality, but there's no freaking mattes in there. Just feel like I can't get a full eyeshadow look out of it, but it is so super pretty. I love that so, so much. Next up, we have yet another Revolution eyeshadow palette. However, this one was picked up with purpose. This was supposed to be a dupe for one of the Pat McGrath eyeshadow palettes. There were 1,000,001 different reviews on this eyeshadow palette. I saw the color story of it and I was like, oh, my mouth watered just a little bit. These tones looked super gorgeous. I was like, I need that in my life. I think that is going to be absolutely stunning. Again, these are domed, baked eyeshadows. This is the Revolution Pro Earth and Stone eyeshadow palette, and y'all, it's freaking stunning. It is absolutely gorgeous. The tones in here are literally to die for. This one right here is a really gorgeous kind of like icy pink to gold kind of duochrome. You've got some really gorgeous soft kind of like, I can't even explain to you how gorgeous they are. They're so pigmented. They're so richly just like, can you guys see that? They're so, so nice. Each shade in here is just absolutely fantastic. And then again, you have 3 mattes in here. You have a black, a brown, and like a soft kind of like warm peach tone. But even the mattes in here, again, have that kind of satiny quality. This is very, very similar to the Gold Crush palette. The formulas in here are very, very similar to those in the Gold Crush palette as well. I think the only thing that really stands out in this palette that makes it really special are these two shades right here. This one is a duochrome and this one is a duochrome. So these are like the two special shades. Y'all, it's a beautiful palette. Again, I just don't pick it up because it just doesn't inspire me. I look at it, I want to swatch it. I want to swatch it all day long because the tones are genuinely just freaking magical. Look at that. I mean, they're just they're so nice. But to pick it up and actually do an eyeshadow look with it, it's just like, oh. And you know, a lot of the time when I do an eyeshadow look, I do a look so I can film it, right? And when it comes to color stories like these, as beautiful as I think that they are, it doesn't necessarily always translate into a super interesting eye look, right? And the thing about it is I want to do something, I want to do eye looks that excite you guys. I want to do eye looks that you guys find interesting. And I feel like everybody and their mama uses these kinds of tones. And it's just kind of like one in a dozen, you know? So I tend to gravitate to color stories that are just a little bit more out there and a little bit more wild. And I kind of struggle when it comes to these color stories like these, trying to make them interesting and new. So again, I would love your guys' feedback. Do you guys want to see more neutral looks? Do you want to see looks that are more like kind of easy and everyday and just like 5-minute looks, one and done kind of thing? If that's something you guys are interested in, I can definitely do that for you. I don't know. It's just I tend to gravitate more towards the crazy wild kind of eye looks. But y'all, I can definitely appreciate this color story for what it is and tell you it's absolutely phenomenal. The quality is really, really good. I will say that some of the lighter shades, you are going to need to use a little bit of a glitter glue because especially these two right here, they can be just a little bit flaky. They are very, very dry. So you're going to need some kind of sticky something on your eye to really hold them to the skin. But if you do that extra step, they're truly just, they're amazing. They're so pretty. I love this. Next up, we have a Kylie Cosmetics eyeshadow palette. And the reason I picked this up was because just the imaging on the front was just like, it drew me in. I was like, oh, it reminded me of cotton candy. Like the pink and the blue, and it was just like, oh, this is so pretty. I am not a big Jenner Kardashian fan. I really don't think about them too awful much. I really don't have an opinion either way. But the imaging again on this packaging was so pretty. I found this at my local Burke's. I found it for $10 and I was very curious about the Kylie Cosmetics quality, so I was like, let's pick this up, let's try this. I actually picked 2 of these up and I sent one out in a giveaway that I did, I want to say, quite a while ago, and the lady that received this actually really enjoyed it, so that made me happy. But y'all, it's pretty. It's pretty. It's just very light. So packaging, 10 out of 10. Really gorgeous, right? Love the imaging. She's absolutely stunning. Stassie is, whoever Stassie is absolutely beautiful as well. You get a nice full-size mirror, and then this is your color story. And I find this is all just very light. There's no depth in here. There's really not a ton of contrast either. I mean, the pink and the blue kind of contrast against each other. But I find overall, this is just a very light, very kind of like almost monotone kind of eyeshadow palette. And while a lot of these shades are really beautiful, I find that it's just very monotonous. There is a lot of overlap in this palette as well. A lot of these pink tones, they're identical on the eye. Like, I've swatched a lot of them and they just like, they look really nice and the quality seems to be okay. Yeah, they're super pretty, but they just end up looking so similar. Yeah, that's 2 different shades and they look freaking identical swatched out. I just find that there's just not enough in here to really keep me interested. That's another shade of pink. And again, I mean, very slight tonal differences there. So I just feel like everything is it just overlaps a lot. You have some of this one's pretty. It's kind of like a duochrome pinky gold kind of tone. Really pretty. But still, it looks almost identical Again, just swatched out. It just doesn't matter what shade you use in here. You're going to come out with an eye look that looks pretty much identical to the next one. And I think because of that, it just never really interested me. I found that the blues were not really great either. Like this pastel one is pretty nice, but this one was just like super dry. And then once you blend them out on the skin, they just kind of disappear. Like the actual blue just kind of disappears and you're left with something that's just kind of like ashy on the skin. Just wasn't my favorite. Yeah, it just wasn't my favorite. I think that the only thing in here that's really worth much of anything are the shimmers. The shimmers are really, really beautiful. I'm definitely going to hold on to this because I would like to try to make and do an eye look with it. But again, it was a limited edition palette, so you can't even get it anymore. So it's really not something I can film with, and because of that, I just don't reach for it. So yeah, I really, really like it. The packaging is super nice. These shimmers are really, really gorgeous. Just, again, not something I find myself like gravitating towards. It's not something that really pulls me in. We have 2 palettes left, and then I will release you. Next up, we have yet another Revolution product. This one, however, I don't use because it's awful. This one is the Creator Revolution Paint Book Palette. And when I picked this up, I had no idea what I was picking up. I thought this was an eyeshadow palette. However, this is actually a cream pigment palette. And I'm not exactly sure what you're supposed to do with this. Like they're pigmented, but the actual formula is so stiff that it's almost impossible to pick up with a brush. It's almost like you kind of have to use your finger. And then it says that you're supposed to be able to like put water in there and like use it as liner and stuff like that. And it's an oil-based product, so literally water doesn't do anything for it except just beat up on top of it. And like I said, the formula is so thick and so stiff. It is so difficult to pick up. It's just, I find it impossible to use. And it makes me really sad because the colors in here are freaking fantastic. I love it. If this was better quality, I feel like this is one of those palettes that I would use continuously. But I'll show you what I mean about not being able to pick it up with a brush. So this is the kind of brush that I would use for this kind of product. It is a very, very thin, very dense, very, very stiff, flat packing brush. So it's really going to go into that product and pick it up and cling to it pretty well. Let's go into this bright yellow tone. And I'm really having to dig in there and really put a good amount of pressure on there. Now it does eventually pick up, but it just drags on the skin so much. I find myself, and I have other things that I feel like kind of work better. But y'all, I spent a good amount of money on this palette. I think I spent 25 bucks on this palette. Now I did purchase it when it was on sale. So full price, this is 25. I think I paid maybe $10 or $12 for it. I think $12 is probably what I spent on it. I just need to figure out how to use it. I need to figure out how to apply this to my everyday makeup kind of routine in a way that is not a pain in my hiney, because the color payoff is actually pretty good there. Let's go into this purple color. See if this purple color, ooh, that purple color looks like it picked up really well. Yeah, they're nice. They're nice. They're just super, super waxy and really, really stiff. So you just have to take your time and really dig. Yeah, not bad, not bad. You really have to dig your brush into there and really pick up the product. So it's not as bad as I remember it being. I will give it that. So definitely am more intrigued and more excited to use this again in the future. The only thing that I would see myself using this for would be for a cut crease. Like this is kind of like a perfect cut crease palette, especially since all of these are cream pigments. Could you imagine it's just like a cut crease dream right here. I am forever looking for new cut crease mediums, just trying to explore and discover new things. And like I said, there's a freaking color in here for everything, for absolutely everything. So I'm excited. Maybe this got better with time. I really remember this being as absolutely awful. And as I'm swatching it right now, it doesn't seem that bad. A little bit stiff, but there's good pigment there. So I'm wondering, yeah, there's all right. Some colors are definitely better than others. I don't know. We'll play with it and we'll see. I won't get rid of it just yet. And then, my lovelies, last but not least, we have this one right here. Y'all, I picked this up because It was so freaking cute. I adore Jurassic Park. I love all of the movies. I think they're great. I think they're fantastic. And I love Profusion, right? And I just thought this was a super cute palette. I didn't realize that okay, so you open it up and you have this little like flip story here, which is super cute. And then you actually open it up and it plays music. I had to take the mechanism out because every time I would open the palette, it would scream that song at me and it would just play over and over. And it got really, really old, really, really quick. However, y'all, I don't understand this. I don't understand the packaging on this. I think it's great. I think the gimmick of it all is really fantastic. This is a $20 eyeshadow palette, so it's pretty expensive, especially for a Profusion product. And you get you're supposed to get 30 shades in here. So yeah, you get 30 shades in here. However, the shades are so small. Like these little dinosaur footprints, the shades in there are freaking spectacular. How are we supposed to get to them though? Like there's no way to even swatch that. I don't even have a nail on this finger and I'm having a hard time getting my finger in there to swatch it at all. And that's freaking really, really sad because the shades in there are so, so pretty. It just makes it really difficult. And all the other shades in here are so teeny tiny. I would so much have rather gotten half the shades with bigger pans and a more thought out kind of curated kind of color story than this, because it just seems very haphazardly just kind of thrown in there. They just kind of threw shades together and stuck it in a palette and said, here you go, we're going to put Jurassic Park on it and we're going to sell it for 20 bucks. I just feel like in all, this eyeshadow palette's pretty much a ripoff. It is a gimmick. It is made to spark some joy momentarily and then display. This was not an eyeshadow palette that was made to be used on an everyday basis. I just don't find it to be practical at all. And it makes me really sad because the quality of these shades is actually really, really beautiful. You just can't freaking get to them. Even trying to get to them with an eyeshadow brush is super difficult. You have to find a teeny tiny little eyeshadow brush and really dig in there. And then even then, it's really difficult to get any kind of real payoff. I just feel like it's a little bit of a waste of money, quite honestly, unless you're buying it just to display and just to kind of like for the novelty of it all. But as a usable everyday kind of eyeshadow palette, this is awful. One of my least favorite Profusion products I've ever purchased. And with that, my loverlies, that is it for today's video. 13 eyeshadow palettes that I have never used, spent my good hard-earned money on them and haven't touched them. I am going to make a point to use as many of these in the next coming weeks as I possibly can. I would love to know how you guys feel about more neutral, softer, everyday kind of eyeshadow looks. Is that something that you'd like to see? Please let me know in the comments below. As always, I will list everything I talked about in today's video in the description box below. I will, of course, also be posting finished pictures over on Instagram and Facebook. If you guys aren't following me over there, you definitely should be. As always, no filters, no fancy lighting. It is just me sitting in front of my camera, playing with some very, very unused, lonely eyeshadow palettes, hoping you guys are enjoying what I'm doing. And until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and remember, you're important. Bye.